Hi everyone, and welcome back to our Win with Armagh podcast. We're here in Portadown at the new Armagh training facilities, and I'm delighted to be joined by Diarmaid Marsden. And Diarmaid, we have an old friend with us here with the English Health Cup. It's been a long time since I suppose we've seen it.
Yeah, well, it was 18 years now, so whereas for a while we're getting it every other year, and it's been a bit of a famine, but I'm delighted for the lads, the management to get finally, and the supporters to finally get that win last week after a couple of years we went beforehand.
Yeah, it was so, the way they lost those defence teams, they were devastating. It wasn't just like you were beat by a better team on the day, 2 penalties and 1 point off the extra time.
And there were tremendous occasions, not necessarily for Armagh because of the result and the way it finished off, but as you say, the 2 penalties against Derry and Donegal, they could have went either way. And then even last year, going to extra time, and Armagh playing well in all those games, but just not maybe having enough to get the win, But tremendous occasions, and they've just been short. And fair play for the squad for keeping at it, and getting their results and their success last week. So delighted.
Compared to '99, Diarmaid, obviously you were a player back then. That was sort of the launch pad for that team to go and win more Ulsters, win more All Irelands. This one's different because Armagh have already won All Ireland, but how would you sort of compare the two? Because obviously the time frame between the Ulsters is the same.
Yeah, so 17 years I think it was, from 82 to 99, and 18 years this time around. That time around it was the step on our journey then, and to get that Ulster title was tremendous. It really was for players and spectators and supporters and everybody alike. Good memories, and it just gave us that wee bit of confidence, when we went into the All Ireland, still basking in the glory of an Ulster against Meath, and then the following year against Kerry. Obviously doing our best, but just not having enough. And I think those defeats did stand to that group, and thankfully we got that elusive All Ireland in 2002. This year's group, or this group of Armagh players, have sort of done it the reverse. We win in the All Ireland first, and I think this will give them the confidence to go on and beat that. And
Geezer made that point after Ulster. It was like, yes, great, but everybody's just back to the starting line again because you get no extra reward for winning. Obviously, if you reach a provincial, you have a home draw in the Ireland series, but everybody's back to the start now. It's Armagh and Derry probably have the advantage that they've been able to sit back for a couple of weeks and watch Armagh and study Armagh.
Yeah, but Derry would have liked to have won last Sunday as well, and that's the Ulster Championship has been fantastic for the last number of years, and I think Armagh and Derry have really, and Donegal, getting to so many fans, have really brought the colour and the excitement to it. And Monaghan this year, there's some games in the Ulster Championship this year between Armagh, Tyrone, Donegal and Down. The Monaghan Derry semi-final was crazy, and then last week's final was brilliant again. So that's the competition you want to win. Armagh have won it, and now they'll be looking at the last 16 teams coming the Sam Maguire, and Armagh is right up there.
And what do you make of Derry, Diarmaid? Because, as you say, they would have wanted to win this cup here. They were so close to getting to the final. Probably should have been in the final. Only Monaghan come flying back into the game in the semi-final. But what have you made of them? They were obviously on a losing streak last year. They've sort of turned the corner from that, got a couple of wins in the league, and obviously we know when you name out their players, like, they have a very strong team.
They'll have hurt that defeat. They'll have reset, and they'll have looked at Armagh's strength and weaknesses, and they'll be coming to the Athletic Grounds next weekend. And as I say, it should be one hell of a battle.
And they're probably, like, Armagh have home advantage, and obviously the crowd that Armagh bring and the fan base that Armagh bring. It's a huge thing, isn't it? Like, what the home advantage, it's going to be a huge thing in the Ireland series, but particularly for Armagh.
It should be. There's one thing we didn't really have that group of players that I played with. Clonus was our home because the Athletic Grounds was being redeveloped. But yes, that home support that Armagh bring, the confines of the Athletic Grounds, the players know the setup. It's probably the best stadium in Ulster, and there's away finals and Mechanic Cup finals and Ulster Club finals. Players like it, supporters like it, and the results have went Armagh's way in league and in championship in recent years. So that it should bring a wee bit of an edge. Not a massive amount, but it'll give them a wee bit of an edge. If there's anything, it swing one way or the other for next weekend.
I said sort of Derry squad when you name out their players, like you're talking about Conor Glass, Shane McGuigan, Brendan Rodgers, like some of the best players in Ireland. There's no way Armagh's going to go in this feeling complacent or anything, because it is such a big challenge.
No, those players you mentioned, Lachlan Murray up front, it's just, they have a really good squad of players. There's about 20 players that, and they could rotate in and out, in terms of who starts, who doesn't, who comes on. Derry football, as we know, is really, really tough and competitive. And Kieran Meena has brought them lads together. He knows them inside out. They'll gel, they'll do whatever. The same way Kieran has with their Armagh players. If they're asked to take a step back and come on as an impact, or to play a different position, or do a different role, they'll do it without question. And I think that Derry group are very similar, and that seems to be the way.
How would you have felt during your playing days, Diarmaid, if you were asked to do the super sub role that Soupy held previously, and now it seems to be Oisín O'Neill's carrying the baton on?
I suppose everybody wants to start. Everybody wants to be number 1 to 15, and that's only natural. But I found myself in that position where I see injury or just being asked to do something to come in and impact the game. I've done it quite a few times, and I didn't think twice about it. You do what's best for your team, and if that meant it was going to help us in the finishing line, or to get over the finish line, then we'll do that. Soupy done it with great effect, and he was starting most of that year, and then that run to All Ireland, that was maybe the key that unlocked a lot of games for Armagh's favour. And Oisín O'Neill has been a revolution doing that, coming on and scoring for fun, and teams will fear that, and they'll fear what Armagh bring. They'll fear the changes that Armagh can make, so it'll be a different Armagh team that will start next weekend, and that's all credit to the squad.
Brilliant position for Armagh to be in, I think. Probably Ben Creeley's the only long-term injury. I think maybe everybody is sort of back near enough at this stage. Callum O'Neill togged out in the Ulster final, so he should be back, and really having that competition for places probably gives Kieran McGeeney and his management team a real headache to try to pick the 15, but it's a brilliant place to be in.
Gives them headaches, but I do feel for Ben. He was a mainstay of that squad for the last 5-6 years, and they'll miss his presence around the middle. At certain times, things might need to be shaken up a bit, and Ben could give you that. But there's enough players in there. Well, this morning, Oisín O'Neill, others, Joe McElroy will step into the middle. Callum O'Neill, as you said, if he's coming back from his niggle. So there's options there for Armagh in that middle third, and I think any of the players will do that and embrace the challenge that's set them. Yeah.
And we're in Portadown, obviously, here, Diarmaid, at the new training centre, and I know you spent your time in Callan Bridge, and this is going to be some difference to what you would have had to do your pre-season in.
Yeah, no, I was there before Callan Bridge was ever developed. Callan Bridge was a godsend at the time as well. But this place here is fantastic to see the quality of the pitches. It seems to be a centre for excellence, and that's what Armagh have brought to the table over the last number of years. Excellence and real ambition and drive and focus, and the environment here will certainly lend to that, and it just means Armagh can really push on at all levels. And
they've won this, and they've won the big one out of Callan Bridge. There's no knowing what will happen once they get into this full time.
I said, but the training pitches won't guarantee anything. It takes the logistics and takes the headaches away from management and those in the back room trying to organise things. That's your own place to call home. It'll be good for the years to come. So
that's us finished today's podcast. Keep an eye out on all our social media pages. There'll be smaller competitions coming up as usual, and there's still the prize of 50 grand to spend how you want in Shelbourne Motors. You could win it for just a fiver, so make sure to keep supporting the Win with Armagh campaign. Thanks, Diarmaid.
Win £50,000 to spend how you like.
Here at Shelbourne Motors.
You could choose this car.
Or what about this one?
Why not grab two while you're at it?
£50,000 to spend your way at Shelbourne Motors.
It's entirely up to you. One car, two cars, it's your way.
It's a tough one for me, but I'd probably go with this one.
Enter now, tickets are only a fiver.